Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Fasting Space. I hope that you are doing so well today. Setting my intention here, I want to help you have the most thoughtful experience here in this session. I wanted to help you on your path toward better health, whether that's a weight loss path or some other health path. Dive in with me here. We're going to do a couple things at the same time, kind of the surface level. We got little vibes going, some background music, grab a coffee. We're hanging out at a coffee shop, having a chat about health and wellness in that space. Maybe it is actual fasting space. Wherever you're coming, if you're here with me live, if you're coming in on the replay, maybe you haven't eaten anything today, we can actually float in a fasting space. Powerful space in the body to move toward health. We're saying nothing is getting in the way of what the body wants to do. We recognize the body is strong and powerful. It has energy here to power us in this space. And when we give it that space, body says, hey, I know what we can do. Some maintenance projects. Powerful, powerful space. So we can be doing that here. And then the deeper level too. We're going to dive in on this question. What do you believe about yourself? It's an opinion. Tell you, what is the opinion that you have? What is the belief, the current perspective, the current assessment of who you are, and what does that mean to you? See, to me, these are deep questions. What does it mean? Your opinion of yourself, because you say, how does that shape my thinking and actions? How does it shape your thinking and actions? This is what we really want to get into, right? If we're trying to walk the path toward better health, if we're identifying obstacles in our way and we're overcoming them, if we see on the deepest level, which is what I think is the case, the mountain is actually us. We are the biggest opportunity and impediment. Do you ever feel that way? It's like, obviously, we are the ones that are driving the path forward, but do you ever feel like, oh man, we got to get over ourselves first? That takes a really, really thoughtful attitude, mindset. Got to be very kind and compassionate, in my view, to do that in a sustainable, thoughtful way, which is the only way to do it in my view. I've said on the program before, we're often the hardest on ourselves. Do you feel that way? I say it's good to think of our relationship with ourselves like a good friend, hopefully. If a good friend was going through what you are going through, how would you treat them? Would you be kind to them and helpful and thoughtful? Of course we would, right? So we want to treat ourselves in that way always. Not pushing ourselves through any sort of process that feels overwhelming or anything in any way. Because the natural processes, everything that I'm talking about this on this channel, very powerful. The toolkit, I like to describe that. We got a toolkit. And we can choose the right tool for the opportunity. And then just to review, if you're new coming through, I consider fasting like that base layer. It means just opening up some extra space in the day. My view, simple fasting, basically fasting within a day. We were talking some yesterday, diving in on, maybe you're with us today, people doing some advanced fasting, some really incredible dedication into a process like that. And that's, that's out there. That's something I've done twice in my life personally, and an extended fast is a very unique, challenging, interesting human experience. There is definitely powerful healing potential there. But also, you bring in so intense, way out on the curve of intensity. The thing that I want most of all is to say, how much bang for our buck can we get from the very early side of the curve? so that it's as gentle as possible. Never want to discourage anyone in an appropriate way, although I will tell anybody who is doing something like that, you should have some oversight from someone who can help monitor that. What I say, as a primary care doctor, as an internal medicine physician, to me, the biggest, the highest priority in medicine, for myself personally, something I feel is in great need of more respect in our society. First, do no harm. This has to be the guiding principle, especially when you look at the history of medicine, when you look even back into the 2000s Institute of Medicine report on iatrogenic injury in the medical system. Means like that the medical system actually hurting people through errors and other things that say, first do no harm. This is really how simple fasting came to be, where I was trying to navigate in a primary care practice. How do we help people thrive and flourish and have metabolic health without doing any harm? This is the thing. And if you sit down, you go to a weight management clinic, and you sit down and you start talking about pros and cons of medicines and surgical interventions and things, and I say, I've had plenty of talks. I've prescribed thousands of weight loss medicines. I'm sure I don't count them, but thousands of patients and things for years and years. And as I got into it, the longer I did that, the more harm I encountered. Okay, you see benefit and harm. And I say, I have got to optimize this, right? How do you optimize, For me, I was like, my medical practice. I want as much benefit for my patients as I can possibly get with as little harm as possible. I discovered fasting. I've told the story a number of times, right? Fasting came to me like a gift that just, I don't know. It's like the heavens opened and it came one day, just saw it. I was like, whoa, somebody's getting healthier just by doing nothing. This is just like a revelation to me. And just a little bit of it, 18 hours, 18 to 20 hours. And I'm like seeing people's blood sugar getting better, people feeling better even. I'm like, no risk. This is what I want to open up to people. The body handles this. I said this yesterday. Someone is sick. Body uses it for healing. So it's like, we're talking about, in most circumstances, anti-risk. That's what we want. Happy Tuesday to everybody. Thank you. So nice to have you all here with me. Happy Tuesday. More brutal than a drill sergeant. Never lost and kept off any weight with that mentality, though. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, this is the tendency. This I know is my own personal tendency. This has been a path, some work I try to do. Let's show some grace, kindness, compassion. I have, like you're saying, sat with so many people who are like in that space, the drill sergeant with a self. And we got into that in that book in the fall, Thinking Fast and Slow, where the guy who wrote it, Daniel Kahneman, was actually interviewing and working with an actual drill sergeant. I loved that. He's with all these Air Force cadets. Do you remember that one? And the guy is in there trying to show him, praising the good gonna be a lot better than punishing the bad, because of mean reversion. That's what it was. Like, trying to show the person, when you yell at people who are doing badly, chances are they're going to do better anyway. Nobody wants to be doing badly. And then you set up this negative cycle where, you punish someone so badly, and then they were going to get better anyway. You thought it's because you were screaming at them, but really, it's the natural cycle. People don't see cycles. So we can identify that pattern in our life, right? Have you experienced that pattern? Have you gotten stuck in it? This is how we get stuck in cycles of negative thinking. Because We get so angry with ourselves, we treat ourselves badly, and then, the natural flow of things do get better. It builds the pattern. Like, oh, look, I really beat myself up and I started doing better. This is how we get trapped in a negative cycle. We want to recognize that and talk like this, like help, be like, oh, identifying it, seeing it, and realize. I think what was the session we did after that? Something like looking to the light, right? Like that we are trying to lift ourselves up, not flogging ourselves. Flogging yourself, a good way to beat yourself down, and very, very hard to end up in a sustainable path of health that way. Biggest thing we're trying to do here, find joy on the journey. If you can find joy on the journey, joy, peace, and contentment in the present moment, that's what we're trying to do here. Create a little space, floating through a space where you say, hey, this is feeling good. Like, I can do this. We kind of gather here in fasting space. Help us to flow out in fasting space in the rest of our day to the extent that you find benefit from it and want to do it. Take that sort of mindset, this sort of discussion that we're having, building positive energy, connecting with other people who are saying, yeah, I'm floating on this space, like we can do it, and then practicing it. And this is the thing. Fasting is a practice just like any health practice, any natural health practice, whether that is a movement routine of any kind, going for a walk, going for a bike, doing any sort of movement practice, whether it is just a practice that we keep working on, building the habits of healthy food coming into our body. Loved the comment we had, a week or two ago, someone was saying, describing, like eating, we don't take it seriously enough. Really, isn't it? I think, what was the word they used? Was sacred. That is a word we don't see too much in society, right? But taking a food, it becomes a part of us. Like when we start thinking of it that way, like that's a really, really deep process. And we say you are what you eat. I mean, it's true. Like we want to build the body out of the very best stuff, And, fasting space, part of what this is to me is like energy and encouragement to like building this little bit of a force field, right? Because we are in this experience here together, modern society that has many benefits. We're sitting here communicating on a digital platform that nobody's paying for, but we can use, and it's just like, it's pretty incredible. And we can be grateful for things like that, to be able to connect across great distances. Okay, but at the same moment, we see, okay, everybody trying to use this, including, corporations and businesses that are just trying to profit off of us. And we say, well, as a mindset in my life, say, I don't want to be profited off of, especially if somebody is profiting off of something that is bringing a poor health to me. See, that's something I want a little force field about. Develop a thicker skin. I loved the session we did, if you didn't see it, on the squash, right? The humble squash, how it builds up that shell about it, hard to get into, protects it. A squash can last all winter. You can eat it in the spring because of this incredible barrier is protecting the valuable nutrition inside. And this is, to me, such a great metaphor for what we're trying to do here, right? We're trying to carve out a little space in our life here, some thinking where we can think together, your thoughts and mine, about how do we protect ourselves from so many of these influences that are manipulating even our emotions. That's why I love that book in the fall. It's like realizing even our emotional state, our emotions can be illusions. I think that was a section that we did, right? Even our emotions, cognitive illusions, can be implanted in there through marketing, advertising, culture, peer pressure, so many different things. So it's like, want to be thoughtful like the squash, right? So like just have that barrier, protect this These are the metaphors and illusions that I'm trying to use. The fasting space programs trying to help us protect from culture, just like the actual physical fasting space in the body. Bringing everything into balance, right? As a space where we can burn up blood sugars, like protecting us from insulin resistance, giving the body opportunity to use the energy that is within it. So good. So to dive in on this session right here, right now, what do you believe about yourself? So we've kind of laid the table, the foundation, all these ideas that we're floating around in, right? Thoughtful perspectives on health. How do we powerfully walk in a direction that really lines up with what we want? You're trying to lose weight and you're trying to flow in a space where it's like we're letting go of that extra energy. Not struggling with it though, so you're just releasing it. Not the drill sergeant trying to pound it out and we're like, I'm going to flip us over. It's -5 in Madison. I'm in Madison, Wisconsin. I filmed this back in December before it was so brutal cold. I do not feel like lugging my camera out and showing you an actual -5 lake right now. We'll see. I don't know if that's good for the camera. I don't know. Look at these birds just before they were flying south. All right, I'm going to share a slight bit of reading to you to center this thought. What do you believe about yourself? Can we see it in my little circle in the sky? The mountain is you. We're floating between a few different things here. We'll get back to it. Atomic Habits. I loved some of that. Oh, man. This is from a section called Self-Sabotage comes from unconscious negative association. So that's the framing that they're using. Have you experienced this ever? Self-sabotaging behavior where you're trying to do one thing and then you find yourself doing the very thing that you said you wouldn't do. I know I have experienced this many times. Very common. Self-sabotage is one of the first signs that your inner narrative is outdated, limiting, or simply incorrect. Your inner narrative, meaning the story you tell yourself about who you are, the beliefs you have about who you are. Okay? Did you know that that could be outdated? That it could be wrong? You say, how could it be wrong? How could my thoughts about myself be wrong? Pat says, the more I focus on myself and turn away from culture, the better I feel. Me too. Me too. How to do that without isolating or losing relationships is the challenge. Thank you for bringing that up. That is really something very deep to think about. Very important. I have to just think about it a little bit. So, one of the things in my life that I've been thinking about, right now, heading into the spring, I've shown, videos in the past that I've filmed out in the country. My parents have the great fortune of living on a little parcel out in the country. I get to go out there. Maybe they are watching. Who knows now? Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. Hope you are well. My favorite place in the world out there. I just love it. So beautiful. I love getting out of town, out in nature. So one of the things I've been watching some, kind of homesteading type videos. I've thought a lot. We had, I thought I want to kind of live in the country. We kind of end up in the city. This has been the balance in our life. But then within these homesteading videos, there's a lot of people talking about what is it like, living out in the country, trying to be self-sufficient. I found the most thoughtful channel the other day talking about, like, there's no person who is self-sufficient. Like, everybody exists in a community, and even the people who are like the furthest along, say they're living out in the country, they own their own animals, they garden, they fix all their own tools, and this type of thing. They're like, everybody exists in a relationship with everybody, and the thing that really matters, even if you're trying to be way out in the open space for real, it's like, what is the community? What is the tribe? What is the connection? And so when you say isolation, that's what I say. We don't want to isolate ourselves. We want to take health practice. A big part of being healthy is building healthy community and having the connections and relationships and things like that. These maybe the most important thing of all. Like, what good is it to, you see, I'm incredibly healthy, say physically in my body, but I'm lonely. You say, well, this couldn't be a win. Welcome. Nice to have you here. So nice to have you here. The other side of losing relationships, there's another thing to head on to, that is probably, could be deserving of hours of talk, and we won't dive too far down on it. But, all this stuff is in the same space. If you see, all of health is in the same space. We tend to isolate these things, bring things into their own little silos, but all of health is in the same space. Our physical health, emotional health, all the same thing. Having great respect for relationships, something that we have to do, and relationships so important. Sometimes relationships can be toxic. Sometimes relationships also can be damaging. And the most complex, of course, is if that's a family member and things. Is a friendship is something, there's like another thing where we have to go. Is something serving us? Sometimes there are seasons of life. If you're trying to move in a direction of health, and some relationship is like an anchor that is pulling you back into somewhere bad, I say it's okay to lighten up the grip on that a little bit. To just say, hey, it's not necessarily the loving thing to do, the healthy thing to do, to hang on to a relationship so hard if it's pulling you down. Not necessarily good for you, not necessarily good for the other person either. When we think about a relationship, we want relationships to be supporting health and flourishing. Sometimes we need to lighten the grip a little bit, I will say, to open up the potential for something better, either healthier relationships or allowing a relationship that is in a difficult place to find some healing. Look at this, what we're doing in a fasting space. We're opening up some space, find healing in the body. This giving us a mirror for so many things in life. Look, sometimes we can open up some space in a relationship, also find some healing in that space. So really appreciate those thoughts. Your self-concept, here we're continuing on. Your self-concept is an idea that you have spent your whole life building. It was created by piecing together inputs and influences from those around you, what your parents believed, what your peers thought, what became self-evident through personal experience, and it goes on and on. Your self-image is difficult to adjust because your brain's confirmation bias works to affirm your pre-existing beliefs about yourself. Do you experience that? I mean, it's hard to even realize that we have an opinion of ourselves. It's just how we think. This is what I'm trying to do here, show us the deeper level, that we can actually get outside of our own judgments about ourselves. When we see that we are judging ourselves in a way, that we're putting ourselves in a box more than anybody else. This is why the mountain is us, right? We interpret things as external, that other people are judging us, but often no one is judging us more than we are judging ourselves. We're the one who are putting ourselves more than anything in any box that we find ourselves in. Years ago, I walked away from a job and an entire group of friends. It was the best thing I ever did. Incredibly difficult. Oh man. Yeah. I can resonate with that, having left a job a couple years ago. Very, very difficult to do, where I was at for, 15 years or whatever it was. Friends there. Miss them. I miss it. I do. But it's so healthy to do. This is the type of space. Can't give anyone a blanket, recommendation. Like, oh, always you should just do something, not just because it's hard, but when you thoughtfully move toward it. Absolutely. Taught me to thinking for myself is best, never look back, happier for it. Yeah, so happy about that. I know I sure am, personally. And this is what you want, moving forward in a space. Being open, and this is one of the difficult, points in life, right? Where is the point where you really need to hang on, and where is the point where you say, we gotta let it go? Definitely deserving of a lot of thoughtful, intentional consideration. Do our best not to make rash decisions there. But these are the lines, to draw, and just realizing that the openness, that letting go is okay. That takes, some trust, some openness. Same thing if we're going to do it in this space. When we're trying to get really deep, our self-concept, what we believe about ourselves. Do you see that when we realize that we can even do that? And like we say, there's multiple kind of centers in the mind. Some of the thoughts that are coming in there, the judgments, these are just ideas and concepts. We don't have to hold them so tightly because they aren't necessarily real and they can be wrong. They're just different perspectives as our mind in its multifaceted process, just trying to understand things, Welcome, Melissa. So nice to have you here. Glad to have you popping in. We're diving in deep on this question of self-sabotage and how it is coming from beliefs we have about ourselves. They say when we self-sabotage, it's often because we have a negative association between achieving the goal we aspire to and being the kind of person who has or does that thing. Okay? I think that is very, very interesting. They're going to dive deeper into that, but just hearing that, you think about where we're going. Okay, what do we believe about ourselves? What we believe about ourselves in large measure shapes how we respond to things, how we think about things, and it changes the landscape of the potential of what we think could happen in the future. The future is open. We don't know actually what'll happen. And like we were saying before, we put ourselves in a box, ourselves, more often than not. And most of the time that's because our thoughts are so limited by the past. We live in the past, we take so much of what happened as a map or a pattern for how things have to be in the future. We assume that things in the future will just be like they were in the past. And this limits our beliefs. And when we get out of this perspective, you say, how do we do it? We're going to work on how to do it. Then we can see that a lot more change is possible than we have thought. They say here, your anxiety around the issue that you're self-sabotaging is usually a reflection of a limiting belief. So if you're here in this space with me, we're trying to move toward health, we're trying to accomplish some sort of goal. if you are experiencing this, a struggle, you're right in that moment. I love that the other day. It's like we're turning up the room temperature. We're trying to melt the ice of the ice cube. We set the ice, the room is 26 degrees. We're trying to create the environment. See, I love this analogy because it's like we're trying to melt away body fat, right? Like that would be incredible, right? Like the ice cube, we're turning up everything we're doing. We're choosing healthier foods. We're thinking healthier thoughts. We're moving our body in healthy ways. And then we're opening up a fasting space that really centers all of that, because our body wants to be using food for energy as long as it's around, even when we're exercising. You think you drink the Gatorade to power the exercise, then you're going to burn off the Gatorade and you're not going to be running off the body fat, right? This is why fasting exercise is building up like superpower for weight loss. The most difficult way to exercise, no doubt, because you got to train every system in the body. You got to train the fasting system and train the muscles, train everything. Approach it very gently, thoughtfully, and slowly, but so powerful. Okay, so we're in that space. We're flowing into it. That just knowing about the things, okay, doesn't do anything, right? You actually have to practice it, right? That's where the rubber meets the road, right? This is what we're trying to do. We're in that space to actually do it. It's like bringing from the knowledge in the head to knowledge in the body. The experience, right? You think of the barriers to a fasting space. You say, open up a fasting space, am I going to feel hungry? Yeah. Yes. Especially at the beginning. I will tell you, fascinatingly, not necessarily as much as you get skilled at it. Because we have said the hunger in the body is controlled by hormones, and hormones are controlled by patterns. And so the benefit of getting in a new dietary pattern that we stick with, not out of some brute force discipline that say we have to do it, but just because we are developing a deep understanding of the physiology of the body and realize that the patterns can actually serve us. We're trying to make patterns that, instead of being barriers, actually are like tailwinds that are pushing our beautiful sailboat across the lake. Takes so much courage to stand up to the inner bully. Yes, it does. Very much courage. Learning to trust my own judgment and realizing it's okay to make a mistake. Yes. As long as my goals and intentions are good. Making a mistake is so underrated. And when we see like making a mistake in the big picture isn't even a mistake, because we learn from it. It becomes a stepping stone. We're like, oh, here I learned another thing that didn't work. Here is another experience. This is like a big way that you do this, that you stand up to the inner bully. Because the inner bully wants to say, like, look how stupid you are. Look how awful you are because you made a mistake, and this is the type of thing that you do, right? We're trying to talk about, what do you believe about yourself? Do you believe these negative thoughts that come in there from this inner bully? Like, look how bad you are, always the judgment. It's like, how do you get out of that space? You to realize, no, I'm the type of person that does stuff. I'm the type of person that tries things. How can you ever get anywhere without trying something, right? Like Thomas Edison, they say, oh, he's a genius. He invents a light bulb, like he's benefited every human being on the planet. Basically, you interview him, and he basically would say things like, I'm not that bright. I just found like 10,000 things that didn't work. It's like fail, 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 mistake, mistake, mistake. And then after years and years and years, like, well, what do you know? Like it was, tungsten or whatever does it, and I figured it out. It's like, so a path of mistakes is the path. It means you're trying. It means you are working. It means this actually has value. Like if something didn't have value to you, you'd never try. You'd never make a mistake, Mistake is actually the path of learning and growth. It's how you turn the tables on this inner bully. You say, you have no idea what you're talking about. You're just trying to block me from ever doing anything that takes me to a better place. And you say, if I really want things to be different in my life, we've got to start doing some things differently and learn from it. Like I saw a quote the other day said, if you don't know what to do, like just do anything. Because then you'll like learn from it. And like if it doesn't work, like now you gathered information. You say it's not even a mistake. The mistake is to be afraid of trying, I say. And I feel especially good about telling you this in the context of what we're trying to do here. Help someone lose weight. I tell you, when I was a rookie doctor in my first couple years in a practice, I wouldn't have felt so good telling you it because I didn't really know what to do. Okay, I did not know how to help somebody. And I tried. I say, I got this great medical education. You say, I think I know what to do. I just tell everybody, oh, you just eat healthier foods and go get more exercise, like the same thing that everybody here. But then I did that for a couple years. I'm like, I'm not seeing anybody getting better. I was like, oh my gosh, there is like more to understand, right? Now we are sitting here in this space, fasting space, incredible physiologic space for the body. I've seen a lot of people who've gotten themselves into a great mindset, whereas like they're really motivated. They're like, yes, I want to do the work. This is one of the things that I feel very strongly of why I wanted this video channel to just start talking about this in a bigger way. Because, say, people want to be healthy. People have great energy to move toward it. But do we have a path to do it? And I see so many people they just don't know what to do. And then we're sold like, oh, the answer is to take these diet supplements, like buy my product, right? That doesn't really work. I've never really found dietary supplements going to take anybody to a really fundamentally different place in their life, okay? But people spend billions of dollars on it, okay? And there's so many marketing, right? As people think that's the answer, or people say, well, exercise, on its own is the answer. Now, for some people can exercise their way there with great intensity, but I've interacted with many, countless hundreds of people who say they just dive into an exercise process, they hit it very, very hard, and they just get hungrier, they eat more, they never lose weight, they get stronger, which is great, but it's not really what they wanted, not helping them lose weight. I feel like we're sitting right now in a very powerful space because fasting been totally underappreciated in our society. And especially the hormonal aspect, that the hormones control the access to body fat in the cells of our body. It's like a key that can open up the door, literally, to the body fat that is in the cells, is locked away. Trying to brute force exercise our way to weight loss without changing what we're eating and giving fasting space to the body is just like hammering on the door. It's like, let me in. Have you ever felt like that? Like, give me the energy, and then you don't have it, and then this is what leaves people so discouraged. When you have actually poured in energy into something and then still not gotten the results you want. I loved that analogy from Atomic Habits the other day, that ice cube showing even that most difficult scenario, okay, that frustration was not wasted. It was not a mistake. That even, something like that, every experience you might have had like that is experience, stepping stones. You've been turning up the room temperature. Now we're sitting in a space that I tell you, lean gently into this fasting space can put every other health practice into a centered space that can help you move forward. I'm so excited about it because I've seen it now for over a decade, people floating through it. Incredible results for people. I want incredible results for everybody for free that is really transformational. To get really big, I put out a little short video. Our session yesterday, we're talking about Dr. King. You want to open up some big thinking, just listen to Dr. King, like the incredible passion that he had, the incredible energy that is actually focused on creating both healthy people and healthy society. God, I'm inspired by it. I want that. And then the way I brought it home yesterday, let's take that energy, right? Bring it into ourself first. Make ourselves as healthy as possible. We're trying to do that today by getting to the core of what we think about ourselves. I'm trying to help you experience the opportunity, feel it through these words. You see, I am not the limiting thought. The limiting thought does not represent the future potential. I am not defined by the past. Listen to some things they say here about these limiting thoughts. Maybe you associate being healthy with being vulnerable because you had a parent who was perfectly healthy when they suddenly fell ill, ostensibly. Who knows? You've associated this. These things can be going on in our subconscious that are driving us in a direction. Maybe you keep eating wrong foods because they soothe you, but you haven't stopped to ask what they keep soothing you from. See, there's the thing, right? There's the thing. In order to reconcile this, you have to begin to challenge the pre-existing ideas and adopt new ones. This is what I want to do. I want to help you challenge limiting beliefs. Challenge who you think you are about yourself, because you can be something new. You can plot a new course. This is the process of overcoming the mountain, right? We overcome the mountain. You have to recognize that being healthy makes you less vulnerable, not more. Bring that right into that space when you're in the difficult moments. You're trying to translate the knowledge in the mind to knowledge in the body, to feel it. The actual feeling. If you're feeling hungry in a fasting space, you're trying to learn to do it. To realize this is knowledge of fasting becoming physical knowledge manifested in the body. Help you move through that space, never forced, when you're open to it. Say, is it the loving thing to do? If it is showing love and kindness to the body, is it what the body needs? Does the body need some open space to stop the consumption that is coming in, to give space to let the energy to start to flow out? When you see a fasting process that, then you can see it as a gift to the body. Once you begin to really question and observe these pre-existing beliefs, you begin to see how warped and illogical they were all along. Not to mention distinctly holding you back from your potential. Such good things for us to dive in on and think through. What beliefs do you have? I'm asking it to myself. What beliefs do we have that are limiting our potential? Take some space to get outside of it. This book, The Mountain Is You, by Brianna Wiest. Highly recommend it. I'm reading this live with you, so I haven't read it. I just got a recommendation from a friend, say, hey, you're going to like this. So there we go. We're just 16 pages in. Even the introduction, we did some sessions on the introduction, was incredibly powerful. So we got a lot to unpack here. Grab a copy yourself, read it along with me, and then we'll hit it, and then we can have more conversations. But I think, this is the type of book that I am like really right up my line, helping us try to dig as deep as possible, clear out all of the emotional baggage of the history that we have, see it for what it is, things that happen that are in the past, that instead of weighing us down, we can let go of it, and where we let go of it, now it's like a staircase, and we're just walking up it. Love that. Okay, I want to share this quote. So as I was thinking about this topic, I was searching for interesting quotes on things like our beliefs and things, and I love this quote. Check this out from Vincent van Gogh. Vincent van Gogh says, and you know Van Gogh, right? Starry Night, all this sort of stuff, incredible paintings. If you hear a voice within you say you cannot paint, then by all means paint, and that voice will be silenced. I so love this quote, and especially in the context of what we're saying, because we have gone through this reading, this thinking, this discussion that is like, what do we believe about ourselves? And then say, we can see that maybe that is wrong or not true or inaccurate, and we're saying, how do we change it then? We've had discussion here today about the judgment and how we can be judging ourselves, treating ourselves like a drill sergeant, like all these sort of things. And so now we're in this space, we're starting to see, oh, okay, I get it. My future is not defined by my past. We can change our thinking. We can separate ourselves from these thoughts. We're sitting here in this space. We have an obstacle. It's a resistance. Something is resisting our path. One of the first things when I did the couple live sessions on my little fasting stone that I said is like a little natural metaphorical compass. And one of the things, we're talking about a compass. The compass is the resistance. For whatever reason, I don't know why the world is the way it is. Why does the brain work the way it does? But we tend to only feel resistance to things that are important. Have you experienced this? We tend to only experience negative talk and self-doubt about things that really matter to us. Part of this process that leads to complacency and makes it difficult to change. If you're in a habit or a routine or something that is unhealthy, you say, I'm like just like eating this bedtime snack of unhealthy food. It's like you don't feel a lot of resistance to it. Like you feel called to it, basically, right? When you start thinking thoughts that are like, I think I need to change. Like, I think I could change. Like, I think maybe this is the thing that I should do. Like, I should start this health practice. Then that's when the negative talk comes, right? You hear the voice, like Van Gogh says, you can't do that. You aren't good enough for that. You're not the type of person who does that. See, this is the belief. Like we're saying, what do you believe about yourself? What type of person are you? Do you see that you're not a type of person? Like, you're just a person that can have any thought about themselves in the future. And so, like the compass, the resistance can be a guide out of it. When you start paying attention to it, when you have awareness of it. Say, oh, look at this. There are negative thoughts coming to me. I'm seeing negative thoughts are telling me I'm not good enough, that I can't do something, that I can't be healthy, that I can't be the type of person who can change and move in a new direction. Do you see that those are all limiting beliefs and they're not true? When you see them, then you can say, oh, I must be having these thoughts because of this force, this resistance, this way the mind works. The mind only tries to resist things that are important. It becomes like the light bulb. The clue is like telling me, this must be the thing that I need to do. So it can help to show you the way. We've said here, like clues to the puzzle, like we have talked through. Clues to the weight loss puzzle did that. Say we all have the same toolkit, but we're here in our own unique spaces. And say, how do we take these same basic tools that we all have to move our bodies and eat healthy foods and take care of our mind and use a fasting space to the extent that it can serve to bring everything else into balance? These are all the things that we can all do. But then we're all in our unique situations with these habits, patterns, lifestyles, environments that we have. We say, how do we get out of this? Okay, we can use this practice, this mindset and thinking. The mind can help guide us through this counterintuitive process of resistance. And the mind, we did the session the other day on dreaming, that the dreams is like the mind, like in this really unlimited creative space, right? No judgment in a dream, right? You can't really control it. It's like we're not judging anything. The weirdest, craziest stuff can happen there. But then really, what is it? It's a problem-solving space for the mind to say, how do we process? What does this mean? So like, there's a space where you can like really lean into some fascinating elements of the mind. Put the pencil and paper by the bed. Especially if a thought comes to you before you go to bed, then you're not blasting yourself with blue light. You're not stuck on a phone, you know? You're not going to be triggered to start scrolling on something or check a text message, okay? Just use a good old pen and paper, okay? Underrated. I encourage everybody, get a journal, get into some actual pen and paper. Get out of the screens a bit. So good. And then especially when you wake up in the morning, so that you can have it right there. Those first thoughts, because when you're trying to remember the dream, all right, maybe that's giving you clues. What is the mind processing? What is it working on? It's trying to solve problems for you. It's like we recognize problems in our life. We're trying to move powerfully in a direction. I've just increasingly come to see that dream space is where the mind, everything else it has to do, it doesn't have to be walking you around and planning 100 things. It's just sitting there trying to figure stuff out. Sometimes you'll have a really insightful dream, but it's so hard to hang on to. You even sitting there, I'm going to remember it, but by 2 minutes you can't. So like write it out. And then take that thought, head into these spaces where then you're hearing the voice, the negative talk. Write that out too. Just get it out on paper saying, I'm having negative thoughts. They are trying to block me. Vincent van Gogh says, just paint, you know. The thing about Van Gogh that's so interesting, you know, is probably one of the most renowned, respected painters of all time. Do you know he was never appreciated? My understanding, he was never appreciated, made no money off of any of his works. Now a Van Gogh sells for hundreds of millions of dollars. Okay, but apparently he died poor and they just found his stuff up in an attic somewhere, is my understanding. But still he comes up with a quote like this. People told him he couldn't paint. People I was reading a story once of some guy is like just made fun of him because they thought his things looked stupid. It's like just swirly stuff around. Like, what is that? You know? But it's like incredible, you know? So, and then he has a quote like that. He's like, everybody telling this guy don't paint. He's like, I'm painting, man. All right. We're on our own path here. It's a path toward health. Don't let anybody tell you can't do it. All right. Don't let anybody keep you from accomplishing the goal or the vision that you have. What do you believe about yourself? What could you believe about yourself is what I would leave it. What could you become in this beautiful gift that we have, the time that we have left here on this incredible planet? Whatever it is, I know my goal, healthier. Try to be the healthiest version of myself that I can going forward. Try to line everything up, every environment supporting success. Can you see that for yourself? I am becoming stronger, healthier, more kind and thoughtful. Bring every positive thing. No reason we can't do it. We're all step forward together. And if you have a barrier to it, I say bring it to a fasting space, you know, both personally in your life, an incredible space to open up and contemplate deeply. Body isn't having to run all the food processes. Body isn't doing anything else. To say, just opening up a space really to sink in to a very thoughtful space. And then, you know, bring it here, fasting space. We chat about it and move toward it as powerfully as we can. Love it. those are my thoughts. Those are my best thoughts on what do you believe about yourself. Thank you so much for sharing this space with me here today. Really loved it. I hope you have a beautiful day. Take thoughtful, powerful steps forward in health. Do your best. Be kind and gentle to yourself. No drill sergeant, like we said. And yeah, see how it goes with this thinking. Come back tomorrow. Share your experience. We'll take another step forward in health together. Have a great day, everybody.